Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu rules, written and produced by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Strong language, mature scenes, and mature themes are present in this recording. This actual play is part of the Your Scenario, Your Actual Play series for the Miskatonic Repository and Johnstown Compendium. And now, on to the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I'm your keeper, Keeperina. Tonight we bring you part 2 of Lights in the Trees by Matt Doc Tracey. It's been a very interesting road for our investigators so far, filled with very traumatic things, and I'm sure it'll get a lot better from here. But before we get to introductions, I'd like to thank all of you, the listeners, and especially you, the Patreon supporter. We literally could not do this without you. If you would like to support us on the Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast. So let's get to some introductions. To my right.
Hi, this is James, and I'll be playing Dutch, the veteran of Vietnam, who seems to be, well, it seems like a whole bunch of people in his platoon are starting to unravel real quick like.
Just a tad. And at the end of the table.
Hi, my name is Mare, and I am playing Flowers, who would say long hair don't care, but now he's going to care very, very much about what happens in the next handful of moments.
Or will he? That's the question. And last but never least.
Hi, I'm your friend Nate. I play the kid, and I am glad that I shot myself dead. I couldn't handle the guilt if I had shot my friend Flowers dead and then had to look over and see my friend Flowers looking at themselves dead, and that had been my fault.
Thank heavens for small mercies, right? So, speaking of shooting yourself, the two of you had some very interesting visions and then woke up in your own beds, drenched in sweat, unsure of how you got there. Kid, there's no needle mark in your shoulder from where you got injected. And I think we're going to start off, as every good episode should start off, with a sanity roll.
I mean, sure. We could, or we couldn't.
I think we could.
I rolled a 14 under 46.
Okay, you're still going to lose some sand.
Okay.
But it's only 1 point. Congratulations.
That's very good. That's good for me.
Yeah,
Kid.
Flowers is fine, and I rolled 37 under 64.
Okay.
I'm sort of fine.
You're still going to lose 3.
Not as fine as I expected.
Okay, so it is morning. The 3 of you have woken up in your various apartments. Dutch, you had an okay night's sleep. It wasn't great, but it was okay. You didn't have as horrific nightmares as usual. You did have some shadowy shapes watching you in the distance, but you've gotten used to those over the last however long it's been. But it is morning, and the 3 of you had some ideas for things you would like to do, so what are you doing? Calling each other up?
I'm going to, Dutch will call Flowers and the kid both and have them meet at the VA. I was going to suggest that we meet at the VA. Let's get straight to it.
Okay. As you go to call Flowers, when you pick up the receiver and start dialing, the melody distorts, echoing through the handset and slowly evolving into the sounds of an army radio. Static, frantic voices bursting through with military chatter, screaming for an airstrike, for a resupply drop. Then there's a hail of gunfire echoing in your ears that gives way to static before the line falls silent. Give me a sand roll.
36 under 50.
You don't lose anything. You're just You're a little confused for a moment, and then you figure it's probably the after effects of those dreams you've been having. And after a moment, Flowers picks up the phone. So you all arrange to meet at the VA after your interesting nights, let's say. Well, interesting for two of you. So you make your way to the VA regional office located on Houston Street in the southern end of the Greenwich Village neighborhood. The outside is an unassuming edifice with a faded yellow and brick facade. There's 2 American flags on the front. The glass doors at the front swing inwards. Do you all go in?
Absolutely.
Yep. Once they get all together, definitely.
Mm-hmm. How are you feeling this morning, Flowers and Kid, after your experiences?
If Flowers is one of the first to arrive, he waits out on the sidewalk and has made it through half a pack by the time the next person has gotten there, but hands shaking the whole time, sniffing at his nose, just kind of jumpy, looking at the sounds of New York he's so used to, and yet for some reason every single car horn is grating to him. Every sound, every jump, every holler of someone has him extremely on edge, very unflowers-like, as he usually is.
When I see you, Flowers, walk right over, first words out of my, oh my God, Flowers, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you the whole time. I'm so sorry. I feel terrible.
And Flowers looks at him for a moment and is trying to piece together. He's like, you're not that late unless he's trying to brush it off as opposed to acknowledging what he thinks that he's talking about. Listen, man, it's not a big deal.
I don't know what I thought it was at first, but I should have just shot. And after last night, I'm in it. You know, and I'm assuming when that wasn't a dream, that was reality to the kid. So I'm just looking at you. You saw it, right? You were there. I saw it, and it was real.
Flowers takes a firm hand and grips the kid's shoulder and points the cigarette at his face. Listen here, you're not going to talk about that. We're not talking about anything. We are not there. We are here outside of the VA in Greenwich fucking Village, and we're going to go in here and get our files and get some pills.
Hey, Dutch comes up last, of course, to arrive as always. The hell are you numbskulls not talking about over here?
Oh, we saw Jonesy, Dutch. We
Who? Oh, right. The
You saw him, right, Flowers? You saw
guy
him.
from the photo.
Yeah, I saw him, but it's because we saw the picture, man. Like, it's like you think of pink elephants, you're gonna dream of pink elephants. It's like you fall asleep watching someone on the tube, you're gonna fall asleep thinking about what happened. It's like, it's kids stuff, man.
Hey, listen, it's Mickey Mouse, all right? This is all... Let's get to work. We're here for a purpose. We have to go in there, we gotta find whatever it is that's gonna help Sarge put the chunks back together into one piece, one usable piece of his brain, okay?
And we can't go in there sounding like some crazy folks either, or else they're gonna put us in a cell. They're gonna put us in a padded room. Who knows? Like, they may have been 10 seconds from doing that to...
You heard Brewer, right? He said they're the ones that did it in the first place. He said this was them. We're walking right into the place that he thought they did it to him from the first place. The military. Just...
Flowers is trying to, like, out, but at the same time, having dreamed the other half of the dream, is like, I'm not sure it's them. It might be, whoever it is could be working with them, but I don't think it's just them, man.
Dutch, you're right. Let's go talk to him. Maybe we can get some of these red and blue pills and it'll help us.
Yeah. Holds the door open for the both of them. Yeah, maybe we can get you guys some pills too. Because I gotta tell you, you both look like crap. And I got enough problems with my freaking landlord that I'm gonna have to deal with later, and also having to spit polish you two, all right?
You're not exactly a supermodel to look at either, though.
Yeah, no lie there.
So you enter the VA office, and you see a typical office area. There's a fake plant by the receptionist's desk. There's chairs lining the walls. You see a young woman with feathered blonde hair seated at the desk. She's surrounded by a stack of papers and a telephone. Oh, good morning. How can I help you?
He kind of nudges Flowers forward.
Flowers zoned out because he's just still sitting there smoking the whole time. We would like copies of our files. And maybe some, like, I don't know, some we're having some dreams, that kind of stuff.
We're not the doctor's office. That's in a different location, but we can definitely help with... You said you want your service records?
Yeah. I would love my service records and, I don't know, like, yeah. So you don't have the medical files or, like, the service records, any of, like, the shots and all the nonsense we got?
We have service records here, sir, but medical records would be kept at the VA hospital.
Huh. Okay.
You can give me a spot hidden, by the way.
Yeah. I would love a spot hidden.
See if you can spot something.
Heck yeah. That is a 28 under 50.
So as she's shuffling through the papers on her desk, you notice that some of them have the crest of the 5th Battalion on them.
Hey, that's us. Did you know we were coming?
She shuffles the papers in. What?
That's us, the 5th Battalion. What's that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you not know the battalion? Do you not know, like, the... You work for the VA? Are you a temp? What is this?
I'm just the receptionist, sir. I can help you maybe get your files if that's what you're looking for.
Flowers is going to reach across the desk and grab it.
Okay. So you reach across the desk and grab it. Give me dexterity. See if you grab it before she whisks it away.
Yeah, 57 under 60.
Okay. So you grab the paper. You grab several sheets of paper and you're flipping through them, and you find the one that you think had the crest on it, but there's nothing there.
Oh.
Flowers,
Sorry.
what's it say? What's it say, Flowers?
You know what? I forgot my coffee this morning. Here you go, ma'am.
Dutchie knows a good distraction when he sees one. And this is a perfect time for Dutch to, fade back into, say, a side hallway.
Give me a stealth roll with a bonus die because Flowers is very much distracting the young lady behind the desk.
Love that. My first roll was a 57 over 50. My second roll was a 15 under 50, which is a hard but not extreme success.
Hard is enough. You manage to, as Flowers is distracting unintentionally the young lady, you manage to open a door marked personnel and slip through into the hallway.
Alley-oop.
All right. Sir, can you leave my papers alone, please? I have a very careful filing system. Sir!
Okay. I'm sorry. Listen. I hadn't had my coffee, and in fact, what's your name? Then he looks at the name tag.
It says Debbie.
Debbie, I'm so sorry, Debbie. Can I call you Debbie? Yeah, your hair looks great, by the way. And he's piling the things back together. In fact, I was trying to find a coffee joint. I couldn't find anything around here. I was wondering, like maybe after we get our files and everything, after we get that all handled, like, would you be interested in grabbing a coffee sometime?
Just staring at Flowers, my mouth sort of half open at this amazing display.
Give me a charm roll.
Filing notes away.
He gives a wink over to the kid, like, watch this. That is a 5 under a whatever. Hold on, man. What would that be? Oh, I would like to use 1 luck to make it an extreme success.
Okay. You're not a very charming person, are you?
Yeah.
In general.
No, I had a 20. as that, but I got a 5, but I had a 4 to make it my extreme success. So we're using a luck point to do that.
So, Flowers, Debbie looks at you. She kind of twists the end of her hair just a little bit and says, "Oh, I know what it's like when you have to go to work and do things without your coffee in the morning. It's all right. Don't worry about it." And yeah, sure. Coffee sounds great.
Do you know any place around here?
Yeah, there's a little joint just down the street. I get off at 4:30.
4:30. Oh man, that's so long. What about lunch?
I have lunch in a couple hours, but didn't you want to see your records?
Yes, yeah. If you could, your records, our records. I mean, not us. Me and the kid. Yeah, so our records, and then I don't know, maybe you could tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got that, where you got that wonderful hairdo from.
She giggles a little bit. "Oh, you're such a charmer, mister. Okay, well, I can show you where your records are, but you cannot take them off the premises. They have to stay here. Okay? Understood?"
Understood. But I mean, you expect us to remember all of the things that we have there? Like, you don't have like I mean, if a guy could have a notepad or something, a Post-it note.
With that extreme charm, she'll smile at you and goes, "Oh, of course. You'll need to take notes." Pulls a little notepad out of her desk and hands it to you.
Thanks, doll.
So while that is going on, Dutch, you snuck into a side hallway. What are you looking for?
Dutch is looking for anything that doesn't really match up with the MO of, fairly humdrum government building that this seems to be. He's kind of poking around, but he's doing it. First thing he looks around for is a clipboard, even one hanging from a hook. He makes sure he has some paper on it, and he grabs a pen, and then he pokes his shoulders up like a sergeant would, and begins walking through the hallways, tapping this pen on the clipboard and muttering to himself while he's mentally taking notes.
Okay. So you're walking down the hallways, taking notes, looking around. This hallway seems interminably long. Extremely long. Longer than you would expect from the exterior of the building. At one point, it feels like you can't even see the end of it, though that can't be right. That's not right. No, your mind is just playing tricks on you. And an office door opens and you see a man looking out at you, a Vietnamese man wearing traditional Vietnamese garb. And he says something to you in a language you recognize as Vietnamese. And you can give me, if you have it, you can give me a language other Vietnamese roll.
I do not.
Okay. So you don't quite understand what he's saying. You never bothered to pick up the language while you were over there. You were too focused on what was actually going on. And so you don't understand, but he's pointing a finger at you. And there's just something so familiar about him. He looks like a face you've seen before. But you can't quite place it. He says something else to you, and then he closes the door. But you still feel like he's watching you.
Starts humming Pretty Woman to himself as he basically falls into a cadence march as he's heading down this hallway, trying to figure out how long, probably like a double time step, trying to figure out where he is and if there's anything. The length of the hallway is starting to get to him now because he knows he should not be inside the building if the hallway was this long anymore. Or at least that's what he's summarizing. So he's starting to not exactly panic, but he's definitely he's probably got some dizziness and lightheadedness going on. And this doesn't make sense to Dutch.
No. The more you walk, the longer the hallway seems to be. And you can give me a POW roll as you go.
That is 66 over 50.
You open a door just to see what's in it. It doesn't look like an office door. And You kind of push on it. It opens pretty easily, and you look inside. It's filled with trees, bushes. You step forward, and your foot splashes into water. It's dark. It's cold. And you feel a sudden sharp pain. Tell us about the time you got wounded as you were out on patrol, Dutch.
Dutch steps into the cold water. He just subconsciously hefts his rifle, readjusts the strap that he always meant to fix, but he never got around to it. He feels the water leaking into his boots, and as he steps forward, he feels a rope or a tight vine press against the front of his boot, and from the side of the pathway, a bamboo spike on a swing arm comes out and jabs through his right calf, and he does his level best not to let out a scream because the VC will know where he is, so he has to cut it off with a knife and limp back to camp with this bamboo spike through his calf.
You feel that sharp pain in your leg. You feel the bamboo piercing your calf. You drop to the ground, dropping your rifle. Yes, your rifle. You're holding a rifle. That's what you've been holding this whole time. And you clutch your leg in agony, biting your lip, begging yourself not to scream, not to alert the VC to where you are, because if you do, they'll take out your whole patrol. Not just you. You have to be silent. And you methodically pull out your knife. You start cutting away. And you pull it out. And as you pull this bamboo spike out of your leg with a sudden gasp of pain, you're standing in a supply closet, holding your pen very tightly in one hand, clipboard in the other. And I'd like a sanity roll as you look at the mops and cleaning supplies and washcloths that line the shelves of this supply closet.
54 over 50.
So you're going to lose 3 points of sanity.
I would love to.
You still feel this burning pain in your leg as you come back to yourself. You're panting. You can't breathe for a moment. You remember just how horrible that moment was back in Vietnam. And it was so real, and the pain, in your leg. You're not, can you even walk on it? And that's when Debbie and Flowers and the kid come walking into the hallway, with Debbie charmingly flirting with Flowers, twirling her hair a bit. And then she pauses and looks up ahead and you see Dutch clutching a clipboard under one arm and leaning down to clutch his leg with the other. Sir, you shouldn't be back here without permission, sir.
He's with us. I was trying to tell him where to go to the bathroom. He really had to go. And, man, you still don't know your rights from your left, do you, Dutch? Got us all the time back in Nam.
Yeah, I got a leg cramp.
Is everything okay, Dutch?
Real bad leg cramp.
Here. And I'll go over and I'll offer him some support if he wants to lean on me.
You'll see that he's holding the same spot that he was holding that took Dutch out of commission for like 3 months from the platoon.
I thought you got that all cleared up. Is it giving you problems again?
Like you wouldn't believe. Hey, did we find what we were looking for?
I can tell you Flowers found something that he was looking for, and then we also got our records.
Oh. He looks past Flowers at Debbie twirling her hair. Oh.
Flowers is trying to pick a bit of lint off of her shirt and adjust her collar, making a show of it.
Oh, thank you. You're such a gentleman. Oh goodness, she's blushing a little bit. She looks flustered. This way to the records room, please. This way.
Anywhere you go, doll.
Dutch, in a bit of a turnabout, Dutch leans on the kid for a moment as he's still trying to get his bearings. And you hear him mumble, it don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing, man.
So you make your way down the hallway. The hallway suddenly looks fairly normal to you, Dutch. Somehow. There's drab gray carpet, unassuming taupe walls, just your normal office, government office, very boring. It doesn't look extremely long anymore. And she leads you into a very Spartan room. There's a black metal desk with a walnut top, and there's several folding office chairs, and multiple metal filing cabinets lining the walls. She walks over to one of the filing cabinets and retrieves a file folder, and she hands it to you specifically, Flowers, with a deep smile. She seems to have completely forgotten that anyone else is in the room. But the folder is stamped with the insignia of the U.S. Army, and it looks like an official military personnel file. And then she goes back, she pulls out the other two, hands one to each of you. You can give me spot hidden rolls as she's doing that.
I would love to. And can I take advantage possibly of her being all bibbledy over Flowers and handing him his file to see if I can grab Sergeant
Brewers?
Brewers?
Mm-hmm. Yep. You give me a sleight of hand with a bonus die because she is very distracted by Flowers' extreme charm.
All right. My sleight of hand is 30. I rolled a 19.
Nice. Okay. So you managed to slip your hand in when she's going through one of the folders and pull out the one labeled for Sergeant Brewer. You don't need to make the spot hidden roll after all because you're actually going up and looking in the file folder, the file cabinet. The rest of the papers and files in here appear to be blank, completely blank. But you only get to look at them for a split second before she's closing drawers. But they do appear to be blank.
Dutch locks eyes with the kid. Do we both see?
You were the only one who went up to look in the drawers.
Yeah, he locks eyes with the kid, and his eyes are very wide.
Oh, it's really hurting you. Maybe we can get you a chair.
Yeah, I need to sit down for a second. Hey, lady. Doll. Can you be a doll and get me a chair?
Sure, there's several of them. And she pulls over one of the chairs that's over by the desk.
As she's pulling over the chair, we'll communicate in that visual, like, soldier way that, platoon members have, where he'll lock eyes with both Flowers and the kid and make that, something is hinky here. Kind of something's bad.
Hey, Debbie. Hey, let me show you something here. Look. And Flowers has his file and it's gesturing for her to come over so that maybe it's underneath a light somewhere, hopefully to get her back turned to them. Mm-hmm. But look, let me tell you a little bit about my mother here. He's pointing just to mother's name. Let me tell you about my mother here. Listen, do you like meatloaf? I love meatloaf. And he's trying to do that same. It's his turn to play distraction boy.
That's going to be a fast talk.
Oh.
You can't rely on that extreme charm forever.
You sure I can't do charm? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I fast talk her. It's a 4 underneath a 5.
Wow. Impressive.
I have never been happier to see that odd duck. Oh, God.
She turns her back to look at the folder, and she's bent slightly, just a little bit too far, so you can see a little bit down her blouse. That's so fascinating.
Yeah. And listen, over here, they should have put him in my record, but my dog, right? And so he's going on and is ogling and he's fast talking, doing that best to keep distracted and kind of tiny glance over his shoulder towards them. Is there anything other than her being beautiful and blonde to look at about her? Could I spot hidden on her at all?
I mean, you could give me a psychology roll.
Sure. I will take whatever you'll give me, Keeper. Yeah, so that's a 47 over top of a 30.
Yeah, she's just a nice, friendly secretary who's very interested in you and what you have to say.
Oh, okay, great. We love that. Okay, so yeah, he's gonna keep talking, maybe even leans a little bit against the desk as he's talking and looking through that. He is gonna flip through his file while this is happening now.
Okay. What are Dutch and the kid doing while this distraction is going on?
What's the sitch, Dutch? I'm whispering into his ear.
I just saw something in that filing cabinet. It looked like everything else was blank. Bupkis. Nothing. Like we're being set up. See if you can look.
Drawer was full of files and... Okay, yeah.
Dutch turns his back to block the filing cabinet.
I'm going to go turn back towards it. I'm going to try and open and just flip through the first couple to see if they're empty. And then if they are, I'm going to open it up wider and just flip through more files quickly.
So they look empty. They look blank. There's no names or anything. As you start flipping through them, you start to see names. You think, and then you look and they're not there. And then you keep looking and there you see names out of the corner of your eye and then they're not there anymore.
I'm just going to take a few of the papers and stuff them in my own, just random, stuff them in my own file folder, close it and close the drawer very quietly.
Okay.
Once Dutch hears the drawer close behind him, he kind of looks back at the kid, raises an eyebrow.
And we have, I put my finger to my head and do the circle around, and I point at the folders and give him the something's hinky look.
Well, my leg is feeling a whole lot better there, Flowers, and I really wouldn't want to take up any more of this beautiful doll's time. I mean, you looks like you've made enough time here for all of us, Flowers.
Oh, that's,
You gotta watch this guy. You should have seen him in Saigon. Every single skirt that walked by,
hey,
it was
Dutch,
like, it was
Dutch.
I put my hand over
As
Dutch's
he's-
mouth.
You can't leave with the files. You're going to have to read them here while I'm waiting. I'm sorry. That's just how things go.
Oh, right. Okay, guys, read
She looks
quick.
very apologetic.
Hey, not a problem. Guys, read quick. We got to take up what we
Yeah,
can.
here's a notepad, right? So, yeah, and so he would look at his file to see if there's anything like that was redacted, which is what he was looking for.
So you look through your folder, you find your weapon qualifications, your mobilization orders, your honorable discharge paperwork, which is DD Form 12. The form for your discharge shows a medical discharge, noting that you were released from the service for medical reasons. All three of you find that same piece of paper in your folder. The mobilization orders are kind of curious. It looks like you served little more than a brief deployment to Vietnam before being discharged. There's no indication that you were involved in combat or any sort of fighting whatsoever. According to the paperwork, the entire battalion was deployed for less than a week before being sent home on medical discharge. All the rest of the papers in this folder, after the discharge paperwork, are so redacted that you can't make heads or tails out of them.
Huh. Makes you wonder, Debbie, doesn't it? Why would they put a piece of paper that's already marked up into a file? What's the point, right?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't do anything with the paperwork. I'm just the receptionist.
Who's in charge here that would do that with the paperwork?
Someone in the chain of command. I don't know. It's not my place. Are you looking at Sergeant Brewer's folder as well?
Dutch is trying to do it in such a way that it looks like he's still looking at his own folder.
Mm-hmm.
So that she's not wise to the fact that he's holding two.
Okay. Easy enough to do. She's distracted by Flowers. So you flip open Sergeant Brewer's, and the first thing you notice is the red stamp deceased across the front of his file.
That alone is enough to, he immediately recloses the folder and slides it into his shirt.
Okay. Give me sleight of hand with a bonus die.
Lovely. Okay. So the first one was 18 and the second one was a 94. So I'm going to go with... Yeah, I'm going to go with the 18.
Is that a pass?
That is a pass, actually.
Okay.
My my sleight of hand is a 30, so...
Okay, so you slip the folder into your shirt pretty easily. She's distracted. She's not paying that much attention, so you're able to get that all squared away. And the rest of you are still talking to her about the fact that your files are redacted and that you apparently didn't spend much time in combat.
This is making me angry, though. Like, Debbie, this is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This file is bullshit. This shit is wrong. I've got a purple fucking heart, Debbie. And it says here, medical discharge after week, no action. The president pinned a medal on my chest, Debbie.
I don't understand. I'm not in charge of any of this, sir.
Who's in charge? Because this is bullshit. This is bullshit. This is all I had for going over there, and this 1 week, no act. What is going on?
She looks terrified for a moment.
Soldier, that is a civvy. Stand down.
Dutch, it's fucking wrong. This is wrong, Dutch.
I know it's wrong, and we're going to figure it out. But give her back the wrong files, okay? We've seen what we need to see. We need to think about this over a cup of coffee, somewhere where they serve pie or something, where we can sit and go over our notes. And he just looks at the both of you and makes a very slow and steady nod.
Yeah, Debbie.
Right?
We'll go to one of those places you suggested to us, and then, maybe at 4 o'clock I'll find you later.
Fuck this. I'll take the folder. I'll hold on to the pages that I had put on the top. I'll take it and I'll just throw it on a table with enough force to try and make it fall on the ground. Maybe the papers will go. Then I'll just turn around and shove the other pages in my pocket and walk out the door and walk back towards the front.
Give me a sleight of hand to do it without noticing, unless you're being ostentatious about it.
No. I would love to spend 8 luck to make that a normal success.
Fantastic. You spend the luck. You manage to put those pages into your pocket when she's distracted by picking up the papers you threw on the ground. I'm going to have to ask you all to leave. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to call security if you don't leave right now.
Is there security here if you don't have your boss here?
Come on, Jen. She's just trying to do her job, boys. Come on. Let's go. No more hassles. She's not the brass that we're mad at. Come on. They may undercut us, but it doesn't mean we're not gentlemen, right? Dutch clumsily grabs a handful of the papers off the floor, reshuffling what she's already shuffled, and tries to hand them to her, then stands back up like he tried to help a little. All right, we're gonna go. You don't worry. We know the way out. It's right this way. I'm sorry. You clean this up. We're gonna. Come on, you mugs. Come on.
Just go. Please.
Flowers will start to pat the kid on the shoulder and kind of get going. It's like,
oh, I'm going. Yeah, I'll happily go.
He's gone. Sorry. Then pat Dutch on the shoulder and like, okay, yeah, we'll go. Thank you so much for your time. Throws her a little wink, then looks at Dutch like, what the heck? And then starts going out the door too.
So you move out into the hallway. The door closes behind you. Dutch, the hallway looks long again as you start moving in the direction where you came from originally. It's long and narrow, and it gets longer and longer. It becomes very, very quiet. Everything around you gets dark. Those taupe walls begin to darken into earthen tones as if made of dirt. The overhead lights take on a red hue, dimming as if they were a red tinted flashlight. And you find yourselves deep in a Viet Cong tunnel. Feels familiar to you, this place, but also somehow unfamiliar, like you're looking through someone else's eyes. The tunnel is narrow, forcing you to crouch. The further you go, the more you have to crouch down. You're holding red-lensed flashlights. You're able to see a little bit without providing too bright of a light to alert the enemy to your presence. Give me a listen roll.
It's a 92 over 30.
26 over 20.
51 over 40.
Yeah, y'all don't hear shit.
You know what? Actually, Dutch will spend the luck down
Okay.
to make it at least successful.
Okay. So the rest of you are panicking a little bit. You're in a tight space. It's dark. It is tight. There's a bit of claustrophobia. There's fear. You don't know where the enemy are. You don't know what's going on. You're suddenly here.
Flowers has legophobia, or fear of the dark. So even though we have the red dim lights, yeah, he's not doing well. He's very much just like cursing under his breath as he's bumping into anything, just like kind of feeling along the wall as he goes along.
So, kid, you're distracted a bit perhaps by Flowers cursing. You know he struggles with dark places, and especially tight dark places like this. So you're distracted there. But Dutch, you're up in front. You were the first one to go out into this hallway/tunnel. And you hear footsteps coming from off to your side. It looks like there's an alcove or something up ahead of you to your left.
Dutch puts since we're in the tunnels, make sure he has his knife in his teeth, bayonet affixed to his rifle, and keeps the rifle in his back and pulls out his sidearm. Puts the knife in his smart hand, his right hand, fist for the other two, and then spins around towards the sound, basically ready to drop, immobilize, and or gut whatever it is.
You move into this small alcove. It's slightly taller, not enough for you to stand up, but you can release some of the crouch just a little bit to ease the pressure on your spine. You see a small silvery box in the center of it. It's open. It's covered in strange markings. You've never seen anything like them before. And as you enter the alcove, the box begins to hum, this loud buzzing sound. And you catch this horrible vapor. Smells of mold and fungus and dirt and earth, and a little bit of rot beneath all of it. And then it erupts into a bright pink light that temporarily blinds the three of you for the moment. And when you open your eyes again, you find yourselves briefly standing out in the jungle, the heavy heat and humidity weighing you down. But as you shake your heads to clear the sound and the smell, you find yourselves standing outside the VA office in a cool New York evening as your watches say it is 1800 hours.
No. What the hell was that? It happened again. It happened again?
Sanity rolls.
24 under 46.
Okay.
32 under 45.
45 under 61.
Okay, so you're all still going to lose. Mare, you lose 2. Dutch, you lose 1. And the kid, you lose 1 as well.
Hey, keeper.
Are you indefinite now?
Yeah, I started off with 55. I am now at 43, and my threshold was 11.
All right. So you're going to have an automatic bout. You don't get to roll intelligence because you've hit your threshold, so you're just automatically going into a bout. The good news is there are other investigators present with you. But as you realize you're back in front of the VA, as you realize what time it is, that you've somehow lost 8 hours. You were back in the tunnel, but you were here. Something's wrong. Your file's redacted. What the hell is going on? Your mind just sort of snaps, and you need to be away from here at all costs. And you are going to flee in panic.
Yep. Flowers just begins to sprint down the road, not looking, shoving people out of the way as he's going.
Oh shit, he's pulling a rabbit.
Flowers! And I'll start chasing him.
Dutch will instinctively go to reholster his sidearm, realize he's not holding it, and then begin to run. First 2 steps, little confused, and then he picks up the pace to try to, really wishing he had not smoked all these cigars.
Flowers, as you run, you push people out of the way, you run through the crowds, you see the graffiti on the walls all around you, shifting and changing, saying things to you like, "Your war is over. What will you do? Trust the lights. What did you leave?" All these different sayings just shifting and changing in front of you and adding to your panic as you run and run and run. You see shapes, shadowy shapes moving through the crowds. They're watching you. They're following you. You've got to get away from here. And you hear, as if through a long hallway, you hear the kid and Dutch calling for you. But you can't, you've got to get away.
Kid, I don't think he can hear us.
Wait! Flowers, wait! God, how is he so fast? He's been smoking 10 packs a day his entire life.
He's more cigarette than man now. I don't know if we'll catch him.
Keeper, does it seem like we might have a chance at catching him or no?
So give me opposed dexterity. We'll see if you can catch up, kid.
I got a 45 under 65. Yeah, so cigarettes are good for you.
65 over 35.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll something here. Okay, so you're unable to catch up, kid. Flowers, you're running in a panic. You're not sure where you're going. You're not sure where you are. But you suddenly come to a stop down a side alley, confronted by a piece of this graffiti. And the graffiti shifts again, so you see a face looking out at you. Tell us about the first person you killed.
The first person I killed when we were going through. I had never held a gun before basic. I had never done anything like that. It was just fisticuffs. It was just things like that. And as we made our way through, a man shouting, I heard the guns popping off, and from right below me, it seemed like a trap door opened up from underneath the brush. And before I knew it, I fired at the first thing I saw move. And the guy howled out after I'd shot him. But I had to stop him from screaming. So I shot him again. And I stood there for a moment. His face was plain, unbearded. His eyes were open, looking at me. His hair shaggy down over his eyebrows, and he was looking at me like he was accusing me. I had to close those eyes. Gunfire going around, but I reached down and I had to close those eyes. I couldn't have him looking at me.
No matter how often you've killed, you never forget your first. Especially when you look into their eyes as they die. And you're looking into those eyes again for a brief moment. And the graffiti on the wall as it reassembles itself into the face of this man who you killed, this young man. And the words below it says, "Your war is over. What did you leave behind?" And then the graffiti shifts back into some horrible profanity in blues and reds on the wall, and you come back to yourself, panting heavily, unsure where you are. Kid and Dutch, you can catch up to him after a few minutes. He's standing there, his panting, his hands on his thighs, looking absolutely terrified.
Kid catches up to Flowers way before Dutch.
Flowers, what are you doing? Flowers. Oh my God, are you okay? What happened? What's going on?
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Okay. I'm not touching you. Are you?
There's
What
shit
happened?
in the walls. There's shit in the walls. It's all over. It's all in the words. It's all in the words. It's all there. It's asking me, what did I leave? I didn't leave nothing there. We're here. We were barely there.
Looking at the walls.
Dutch comes up, wheezing, leans on a wall for a moment.
Don't touch it. Dutch, get away from the wall. And he's moving over, like trying to get him away from the wall.
Dutch stumbles away from the wall and leans on his own knees.
It's
Man, I gotta
graffiti
give up
flowers.
smoking.
It's graffiti flowers. It's tags.
No, it's not.
It's normal bullshit.
It's not graffiti. It's not papers. It's not freaking pink gas. It's not Jonesy. It's not any of this. It's not fucking aliens with their hands and silver brooms. It's none of that shit. It's none of
I'll
that.
glance at Dutch at that last line.
Then what is it?
I'll glance at Dutch and then look back at Flowers.
What'd you see in there?
I don't know. It was just a dream. But it wasn't. Kid, you were there and you saw me there. But then when that thing came down from the sky, were you there too? In that room?
Wait. I didn't
There was
I didn't see any of that. I didn't see
there
any
were
of that.
lights in the sky, and they were coming
No.
for us. And
No. I didn't see that. I saw my face. I saw where I got shot, and then I was in the medevac, and I was in the hospital, and then black. I didn't see anything in the sky.
No,
I didn't
they
see any
were
lights
in-
in the sky. What are you talking about?
things there. It was rooms, stuff I've never seen before, stuff beyond like the clinic, beyond any of that. It had this hand. Had this hand. It wasn't human. It wasn't. They're not. None of them. The VA. None of them are human. None of them. They're all freaking sci-fi, man. They're gonna get us all.
After what we did, maybe they should.
Said our war is over, but what did we leave behind? What did they leave? What do they have of ours?
Who the hell is they that you guys keep talking about?
Faces in the walls.
Dutch goes over and pounds on the wall with the side of his fist. Hey in there. We'd like some fucking answers.
It's not fucking funny, Dutch.
No, it's not. He spins around, kind of brandishing his cigar at Flowers. No, it's not. There's something that's unraveling all of us, something in our heads. And we got to figure out what it is, but I need you to stay up here, okay? Kind of pokes Flowers in the forehead.
Flowers swats at the hand that poked him.
Dutch doesn't take it personally. Don't just be another kid that went over there and came back and fell apart.
That's what's happening to all of us, Dutch. We're all falling apart here. And it doesn't make any sense. Nothing's making any sense. Blake Page's medical releases, shared dreams, mold that pulls me back into the jungle. Come on, Dutch.
What was that last part? And he gets like the folder halfway out. What was that last thing you said, kid?
Mold that I get back to my apartment, molds all over.
We're going to go back to my place. Come on. It was on the floor. Did it stink?
It was on the wall. I thought it was a burst pipe, and I poked at it, and then there it was with Flowers. That's where we saw Jonesy. I told you I saw Jonesy.
No, mine's on the floor. Come on. That's the only tangible thing. That's the only thing so far that we have that's physical that we can point to, and we know where it's going to be at, or where it should probably be at. He hails a cab.
So while we have the cab, we all pile in the back, I would assume, and I'm going to pull the, 4 or 5 pages that I had shoved in my pocket, pull them out and sort of pass them around. And I took these from another one of the file. They all looked blank, but then they sort of didn't. I sort of want to flip them around. Maybe because it was out of the corner of my eye, and so I'm going to be... Sorry, all I can think of is Hitchhiker's Guide. It's the SCP field, and I'm Ford Prefect dancing around trying to catch it out. But I'm going to just try and look at things and try and flip it and just get the edges and just do wild stuff with the pages, trying to duplicate what I saw before.
Flowers is sitting there in the back of the cab with his arms crossed, kind of bundled down into his leather jacket with his cigarette, just going to town, this poor cab driver. But he's just sitting there and glaring out of a side eye at the paper. Just, what are you doing? It's blank.
When you start flipping through the papers, kid, you find that instead of having random names and notes and things that disappear when you look at them again, you find a note. If you would like to read that for us.
See, look it. This don't make any sense. See, this wasn't here. Oh, it's just like a page. It's just like this lined paper. It's like school paper. Patients show no change. Patients show no change in condition following quarantine. I see no need for them to remain. They can be released as long as they have continuous monitoring. Their behavior is strange, but I see no cause for alarm. Let them out. Keep an eye on them, at least, and be sure not to tell them anything. If they find out things wouldn't be good, call me if something changes. Evan Morin, MD. Any of you know this Evan Morin? I'm going to pass the note over to Dutch and Flowers. You ever heard of this guy?
So they were watching.
Evan Morin, MD, huh?
Hey, let's find a payphone. Get a phone book.
Gabby, hey, pull
That
up over
sounds
there.
like a solid plan.
We need to check Ma Bell for a second.
He pulls over.
Dutch hops out, goes over to the phone book, finds the Morin, Evan Morin, finds the Morin last name page and just tears it out and hops back in the cab.
Check the yellow pages
and closes
too
the door.
for some kind of psych or whatever. Some shrink.
And then proceeds to look through the lists, looks through the pages that he has managed to grab to see if he can find a name.
Okay, so you don't find the name Evan Morin, but you can give me an idea roll.
So 17 under 20, or my int is 45, my hard is 22, I got a 17.
Okay, so you think to yourself, if he's a military doctor, there should be some record of him, or he may even be at the VA hospital.
He taps the cabbies. Actually, he pulls out his billfold and puts a 10 over the seat, just kind of folds it up and hands it to him between the seats. Take us to the VA hospital, buddy.
Guys can't make up your minds, jeez.
Hey, it's been a day. Give us a break.
You act like there's some sort of gas crisis on.
He's muttering to himself, but he makes a turn up at the next streetlight, flips around, and you find yourselves sometime later at the Veterans Affairs Hospital. It is closed for the day, but that doesn't mean you can't get in. How are you attempting to gain entry to the VA hospital?
I mean, it's a hospital. One of us could get hurt.
Illicitly. You said it was not open?
The front area, the clinic area where you'd go in just for normal appointments and things like that is closed.
Do they have a deliveries area around back?
Oh yeah, for sure. For
All
sure.
right. Flowers lights up another cigarette and then looks down at his pack, sees that he's getting low. Shit. And then starts I'm walking back towards the deliveries area for the hospital.
Okay, you walk around towards the back. There's nobody here. Like, there's cars and there's a delivery truck for, looks like laundry. But there's no one here, and the door is unlocked.
Flowers, now being insane, opens the door.
Okay. You open the door. You go inside. The hallway is lit. It is not as bright as normal. The lights flicker quite a bit as you enter in. This hallway also seems fairly long, but not in the same way the one at the VA office did. It doesn't give you that sense of panic, Dutch, the way the first one did. It just feels like it takes forever. But you walk for a couple minutes. You don't encounter anybody. There's no one walking these hallways. There's no one moving around, and it's a hospital. There should be people, at least in the hospital part, even if not in the clinic part. But you find yourselves suddenly standing outside a door that says Morin.
Dutch carefully or quietly reaches into the other side of his coat and pulls out a flask and a 45. He cocks the... One has a slug for him, the other one has a slug for other people. He offers the flask to Flowers and the kid.
Flowers drinks.
I drink too. This was way too... This is too easy. This doesn't make... I mean, how did we walked right to it? And here it is?
Are we wanting things to make sense now? Is that what we're after? All the other things, the faces in the walls, the weird mold, all that, and then this is the weird part.
That's a good point.
While they're talking, Dutch very much has the 45 pointed at the door.
Mm-hmm.
He's letting if there's somebody in there, he's letting their sounds basically rile them enough to come to the door. And after a few seconds, if he doesn't hear anything, then he'll reach out with his left hand and open the door.
Well, noticing that, I think I'll be a little louder and look at Flowers. Look, we're just trying to find this Evan. I'm sure he's not here. It's so late. Glancing at Dutch, just to prolong this little paper a little bit.
Flowers looks at the kid's attempt at that and nods a little proud to see. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be here doing their job, right?
There's no sound, but when Dutch puts his hand on the door, it is unlocked and it swings open. You see a single examination table, a couple of metal chairs with faded cloth covers. There's a medical skeleton standing in the corner. And there's implements and tongue depressors and box of gloves and things like that. And in the middle of the room is a portly man with a massive mustache, wearing a doctor's coat over a nice suit. And he looks up as you come in. He says, "Oh, it's you. More pills. And kid, this doctor looks suspiciously like the one who injected you in the tent."
Dutch, this is him. I have a 45 too. And I pull it out of my pocket. It's on my character sheet. This isn't creative writing. And I walk over with it, pointing it at him. And if he allows me, I'm going to go all the way towards him and point at it and poke him in the chest with it. What'd you do to us? What's going on? I saw you. I saw you before. I saw you over there.
Oh, don't know what you're talking about, son. Are you still having hallucinations?
Son of a bitch, don't you try and talk your way out of it. We've seen, all of us have seen the things that are going on. We've got your note here.
What note?
Piece of shit. I'm going to take the note and I'm going to give it to him because, of course, it's not going to be a different piece of paper. It's going to be the exact same note I read in the cab. It's got to be.
You hand it to him. He looks at it. I don't know what this is, son.
That's you. We found that in the files. Look at you. You're talking, watching us and keeping track in quarantine. What happened to us? What'd you do to us?
He puts the paper in his pocket, says, "I don't know what you're talking about." What is going on here? Why are all three of you here at the same time? You can all give me psychology rolls.
42, way over 10. Now, there's two things that Dutch doesn't know. He doesn't know psychology, and he doesn't know electrical work, but he's pretty sure that this room is gaslit.
Flowers got a 27 under 30.
Yeah, I failed. 35 over 10.
Flowers, he seems to be genuine. He doesn't seem to recall writing a note. He doesn't seem to recall working with the kid in Vietnam. He genuinely doesn't seem to remember any of it.
Wait, guys. I think they got him too. He doesn't know.
Flowers, he's in on it, Flowers. And I cocked the trigger. He's in on it.
No.
He knows everything.
Flowers gets over there and puts a hand on the kid's like forearm.
Shaking.
He's like, yeah.
Just quivering with fear and anger, adrenaline rushing through me.
And he is slowly lowering, like using some decent force to lower the kid's hand so it's not pointing at the guy. I think they got him too.
He's stroking his chin, looking at you with this kind of detached interest. Fascinating.
Fascinating. What?
Oh,
Why
very
fascinating?
interesting.
What are you saying fascinating for? What are you, some sort of sci-fi crazy person?
You seem to be at some advanced stage of psychosis. And he pulls a clipboard off one of the chairs and starts writing on it.
Advanced psychosis. I'll show you advanced psychosis.
I show him advanced psychosis, and I pull the trigger on the gun into the floor. I don't shoot him, but I'm upset at his complete lack of any reaction to the gun that I've been holding on him, and it doesn't make sense. And I almost need to hear that explosion for my own sake.
The moment that the kid shoots the floor, Dutch pulls the trigger and shoots him.
Okay, give me a firearms roll.
He heard one gunshot, and I'm going to say that when he hears the first one, it's autonomic.
That makes sense to me.
That is a 21 under 40.
Okay. You shoot him square in the center of the forehead. And you see his eyes roll up, almost as if trying to look at the wound. You hear him say, "Well, now that's very interesting." And his body collapses to the ground in a pool of blood. And Dutch, you see the face of someone you killed over in Vietnam, staring back up at you, a bullet straight through their skull, their eyes accusing, terrified, pleading, all at the same time. And the world begins to spin as it fades away above you. The building around you begins to melt like wax, pooling into the street. The moon above you in the sky that you can now see as the building has melted away gives way to 3 chromatic orbs that you've seen before, Flowers and Kid. There's a strange liquid sensation to the world around you as it fades, the darkness of the sky blending into violet. And you see a twinkle of very strange stars you don't recognize in the sky above you. And then you see silvery metal begin to flash all around you, almost like walls building themselves up and around. And you find yourselves in a room that is chrome, shiny. And Flowers, you've seen this room before. You've been in this room before. You were here. The 3 of you are alone. You think you hear clicking of metallic instruments and the hum of wings. You're laying on tables You're restrained with metal restraints at your wrists, at your ankles, a strap across your chest. Tubes and needles are injected into you in multiple places, including one you think through the back of your skull. You can feel it if you try to move. This is alien and unfamiliar, but it feels all too real. Sanity rolls.
92 over 45.
45 over 43.
66 over 60.
Okay. So, Kid, you lose 3. Dutch, you lose 2. Flowers, you lose 3. And Flowers, this all makes so much sense. This is where you were meant to be. This is where you've been. This is right. This feels very, very right to you. It's almost peaceful in a way, understanding how right it is that you're here.
Flowers lets out a scoff at first that turns into a laugh that shakes a little further. And then he's looking to the other two like, don't you see? It makes sense. It makes sense.
No. And I'm struggling. No, this is wrong. This isn't right. This is wrong. No. Trying to move, trying to get free, trying to flee.
Dutch is quiet for a moment, listening to the other two. And then he just mutters, "Don't mean nothing. Just don't mean nothing, man."
You hear a gruff, familiar voice from off to your right saying, "For the person who has learned to let go and let be, nothing can ever get in the way again." And you turn your heads and look. You see a metal cylinder, a glass panel, through which a green liquid submerges a pinkish mass of brain with wires hanging from it. The voice seems to be coming from this jar. "See, you're awake, soldiers."
We recognize the voice.
Yes, sir.
It's definitely Lieutenant Colonel Weber.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What the hell happened to you, Commander?
Well, son, we were taken, kidnapped, all of us in the battalion back in 73. Just soon after we arrived. 73? 69. When were we there? Anyway, we were taken. We've been here ever since.
You've been here ever since, and we've been looking for you.
No, son, we've all been here, whole time. They mean well. They want to ease our burdens, but we've been here the whole time.
Like, Roswell? Like...
No. These ones are real, and they don't look nothing like what you see in the media or what the kids design these days. But they're real. You'll see them soon.
Well, we gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of these straps. Find some sort of a weapon. I'm sure our boys back at the Pentagon would love to know about this. We gotta go. Dutch starts to try to pull at his restraints.
Give me an extreme strength roll.
I rolled an 8 under 14. I love these. These are Doc's blessed dice, so.
14 was your extreme?
14 is my extreme. I rolled an 8.
So you managed to wrench your arms free of the restraints and pull that needle out of the back of your skull. It hurts like hell.
Dutch literally yells while he's doing it, like pulling a nail out of your own arm. Ah!
You hear chittering sounds, and the sound of something moving very quickly as you break your restraints. You see entering through a sliding door these pinkish creatures with fungoid crustacean bodies, massive clawed limbs reaching out towards you. And they say in a very calm voice, telepathically straight into your mind, Dutch, would you be freed of your burdens now that the war is over?
The war's not over. You still have prisoners. You have us. We are prisoners. You have to let us go. We are United States citizens. And undo whatever you did to that man. He points at the sloshy brain container.
They haven't done anything to me, son. Just showing me the way.
Dutch does his best to swallow the look of abject horror that he's feeling so that the other two don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
But he rushes over to Flowers and the kid and starts trying to help them undo their restraints. Did the wrenching out of his own restraints, like, pull his shoulder out of socket or anything? Is that how he got out? Or, because you said it hurt, so.
Well, removing the needles hurt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he starts trying to help Flowers and the kid.
Okay. So the creature, which tells you all in your minds is called a Migu, is going to grab something strange that looks like a firearm, but weird is the best way your brain can describe it because it can't fit all the pieces of it together. And it's going to attempt to essentially shoot you. I succeeded. So this doorknob size lump of metal that is vaguely gun-shaped lets out a pulse of some kind that does 9 damage to you, and you collapse to the ground stunned. There's no need for all of this.
Dutch slides off of the restraint table thing and onto the slumping to the floor between them. Arms like noodles.
We wish to free you. Would you not be free of your burdens? Your terrors now that the war is ended?
What burdens, man? What? We're just trying to live our lives.
You are troubled. We will fix it for you.
What, by putting us in a jar?
That is freedom. You will live forever. Free of your mortal constraints.
Do you guys do that?
We have no need.
You don't have brains?
These forms do not wear out the way yours do. We have learned some interesting things from you.
Like what?
But we will release you now if you wish to be released.
I want to be released. Let me go.
Do you wish to be released from your mortal forms?
What? No, man. No, I want to go home.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I got my ma back home. Can't leave her on her own.
All of you?
Yeah, we only enlisted for one tour. We want to go home.
Very well, if you insist. And the creature comes over to you with a syringe full of some kind of yellowish liquid. You hear a soothing voice in your mind saying you'll be returned home. And as you fall unconscious, I'd like each of you to tell me, what is your last memory before leaving Vietnam? What is the last day like for you? Let's start with Dutch.
Last day was bittersweet for Dutch. As much as he hated Nam, hated the jungles, hated the heat, wanted to get away from the mosquitoes and the malaria and all the bullshit, he was going to miss the guys that he got to know there. Because, when somebody has your back through a firefight, you get to know them a little better than just somebody you play poker with on Tuesdays. So he was probably a little boisterous, a little over the top. I'll see you guys back stateside and we'll run the bars and we'll go to Vegas.
Flowers?
Flowers spent the day after packing up what he had, stacking things, getting addresses from folks, promising to come and visit him, knowing he was never gonna. It takes a lot getting drafted to get him out of the city in the first place. But he had a few laughs, shared a handful of cigarettes with folks, and someone ended up having something of a makeshift guitar. Tried to repair the thing he had. It was still busted and it was still out of tune, but singing some of those songs, making the raunchy lyrics to them is a pretty great way to go.
What about you, kid?
Well, as you know, I left on medical transport. It was that last skirmish. The doctor said it was probably, my head hitting the ground that cut my face open and gave me the huge scar across my cheek. But I swear I saw a shard of bone coming across from Tiger as he took the shot that should have taken me, and whatever piece of him when it hit me and lacerated and tore my head open. And they put it together in the field as best they could, but then sent me over. So my last memory was full of dope, full of opioids, and full of regret and guilt that my inexperience, my inability to do my job resulted in someone else, one of my teammates that I loved and I respected, led to them not going home.
Those are the last things that you think of, the last things you feel, all the same feelings that you were experiencing that last day before you went home. It's almost like you're there in the middle of it as this syringe hits your arm, even yours, Dutch, as you're shifted back onto the table. And there's a soothing voice overlaid, almost like a narrator in a film, saying, "Don't worry, you'll be home soon. The war is over." And you wake up in your own beds, cold breeze coming through an open window. Outside the window, snow is falling, coating the city with a bright sheen of twinkling white. Everything feels normal. There are piles of clothes littering the floor, unwashed dishes in the sink. You can hear the din of the city outside, the subway train, the honking of a car horn, muffled voices chattering. And your eyes catch a glimpse of a newspaper on the bed next to you. The headline, "Shuttle Releases Hubble Telescope," next to the date, December 11th, 1993. And as you stare at the picture on the front of the page, it flickers like static on an old TV set, revealing chrome walls, the shuttle. And that is where we will end this game. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this scenario, which is Lights in the Trees by Matt Doc Tracey. Thank you, and good night.